in Miami.
That's
Gaydon was making an album down there, and I went and sang a couple of things.
All right, I'm sorry I've got that out of order. I only heard about it yesterday.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to work with.
Right. Okay, well that's fine with you.
Okay.
Glenn.
Hey, listen, John. I just wanted to make a suggestion, just on our behalf. Well then,
I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
I'm from Mars,
Mars Detroit.
and I came here just yesterday.
Could you explain your vague connections with Bob Seger?
Oh yeah, well they're not in any ways vague connections. Actually, we were real good friends while we were both living in Detroit. This is when I was when I was 18. About when I was 18, he was a little older than I was, and he was managed by the guy who ran this string of clubs in Detroit called the Hideouts. And so the big ambition for a local band in Detroit at a high school level was to get to play one of these 3 clubs called the Hideouts in the suburbs. And as we got, finally we auditioned and got a job at one of these clubs, then I met Bob Seger. And, you know, like it says in Pete Frame's thing, you know, he kind of liked me, I guess, and he let me watch him record and even let me play on a couple of songs and sing a little background vocals.
You're on Ramblin' Gamblin' Man, aren't you?
Yeah. I played acoustic guitar and sang backup on that.
Uh-huh.
You don't hear much acoustic guitar in that record. They mixed it down.
You don't hear much acoustic guitar in any Bob Seger record. Really. I then read that you moved to California in pursuit of your girlfriend. Is this strictly accurate?
Yeah, she was a singer, and she sang with a couple other girls in Detroit, and they went out to California to make their way in the music industry actually before I did. And after writing to my girlfriend for a while and staying back in Detroit, I decided I wanted to move out there and be with her. Mm-hmm. Jade, you want me to go on this bit?
Well, no, I wonder what happens to the girlfriend and her 2 partners.
Oh, they're still in Los Angeles, singing backup and trying to write songs and stuff like that. Probably the most interesting thing about that situation was that I met John David Souther the first day I was in Los Angeles because he was going out with my girlfriend's sister. So the first night I was in L.A., I met J.D., and that was the start of a lifelong friendship.
And the start of Long Branch Penny Whistle.
Yeah.
Which was which? Were you?
Well, we never divulged that secret while we were together. So we decided we'd never.
How did you get involved with Jimmy Bowen then?
Boy, I don't know. Well, I guess he had a label deal. John David knew some people from Texas. We were, we're just struggling around in LA. We don't really know, who to go to or who to see. So he just happened to be someone who John David knew of through some other people. Very kind of nebulous thing. I don't really know how I ended up over at Amos Records.
You had some very heavy dudes backing you up on that album, though, didn't you?
Yeah, we wanted to play with all these real good guys, James Burton and Ry Cooder and Larry Knechtel and Joe Osborne and Jim Gordon, and we even got Doug Kershaw to play on one thing. But in order to do that, we couldn't hire them and do one song a night with them to make the album like we would make an album now, maybe, and try to cut one track. So we had to cut the whole album in 2 days with those guys. So it was really like we work up the song and cut it in about an hour and a half, and then we go on and do the next song.
You're obviously not highly delighted with the record.
No, I'm proud of my past. It's not a great record, and the songs aren't great, and the performances aren't great, but it's something I did. I feel obliged to accept that as part of my past.
Yeah. And then I gather you and J.D. met Jackson Browne, and you lived in the slums.
Well, we lived in high style in the slums. I'll say that. It's not really the slums. It's actually the old part of Los Angeles, down around Echo Park. It's real nice, very Mexican. And we took very inexpensive flats there, $30 a month for one and $60 a month for the other one that 2 of us lived in. And we just gigged around with acoustic guitars and played benefits and tried to get drunk and meet girls and do folk clubs. That was really what we were doing. We were bumming.
Presumably the big break was meeting David Geffen at this point.
Yeah, it was actually the first time that I met him had to be one of the big turning points for me. That he definitely brought me out of the dregs of despair and into a situation where I could actually make a record or have a band.
Where did you meet him, in fact?
I met him at his house. Jackson Brown met him about a month previous and had told David Geffen wanted to manage and sign Jackson Brown to Asylum Records, and Jackson had been telling him about John David Souther and myself in our plans, and so I met him up at his house, and he told me to get in a band.
Right. And then you also went to Linda's group, and it all started from there.
Yeah. Then after that, I got a job with Linda Ronstadt. It was $200 a week. That was more than I'd seen in 3 years in California. And besides that, I loved her music. It was just it was an offer I couldn't refuse. I got real excited. I had never been on the road. I'd gone from Detroit to California, in a truck, but I'd never actually worked on the road. So.
Right. Okay, that's fine. You arrived just in time, Mr. Henley. You're from Texas, right? And I gather that you were involved with the Dixieland band originally.
Very briefly. That's incorrect on the paper there. That was when I was about 15 or 16. That's all that lasted, And then it was rock and roll from.
Right. I read somewhere that you got into rock and roll by seeing the Byrds and then particularly the Dillards. Is that correct?
That inspired me, yeah. I actually got into rock and roll when my mother went to the record store one day and bought me a copy of Hound Dog. That's when I got into rock and roll.
Certainly. The group in the first rock group was called Felicity. Was it not? Was that?
Yeah, well, originally it was earlier than that. Actually, it was when surfing was popular and the Beach Boys and all those people in cars and things like that. We were called the Four Speeds. And then that got shortened to the Speeds, but we figured that was a little risque, so we changed that to Felicity. And it remained Felicity until about 1969, and then we changed the name to Shiloh, but it was basically the same people. Mm-hmm. It was people that I grew up with in my hometown.
Yeah. You also moved to LA to make it rather like Randy too.
Yeah, same thing.
Mm-hmm. And you also got involved with Amos.
Unfortunately, yes. Or fortunately, depending on how you look at it.
Was it as nebulous as Glenn's involvement with Amos, that you didn't know anybody else?
Right. Well, actually, the way I got into it was through a fellow named Kenny Rogers, who used to be the leader of a group called the First Edition. And we met him in Texas in 68 or 69, and he took an interest in us, and we kept in touch by phone for about a year and a half, and finally we went out there and he produced a record for us, which was on Amos because he was affiliated with Jimmy Bowen, who was the president of Amos at the time. And so we made one single and one album. And
which are collector's items, just like
Are they?
Anyways.
God, it's awful. It's an awful album. Don't buy it.
Shiloh, I gather, split up when Al Perkins was weaned away to join the Burritos. Is that about the
Yeah, that's not totally the reason that we split up. The reason that we split up was because, well, for several reasons. We weren't getting any work, and we didn't have any management to speak of. And of course, the record company was not doing much either, and the record wasn't everything was wrong. And so Al left first, and I was thinking about leaving at the time, but I didn't know where I was going to leave to. But Al left first, and then I met Glenn, and then I left, and it sort of fell apart after that.
Don was the lead singer of Shiloh, essentially, so I would say that the band probably broke up when you left.
Yeah.
rather than when Al Perkins left.
Yeah.
Right. All the members of Shiloh have gone on to do something significant, I think, or relatively so, haven't they?
Yeah, I suppose so. Some of them, anyway, not all of them. I don't know what Al Perkins is doing nowadays. He was in the Burrito Brothers for a while, and then he was in Manassas. But he's a very religious person, so he had kind of what I refer to as a God rock group the last time I heard about him, and I really haven't seen him in quite a while. I don't know what he's doing. But Jim Ed Norman was also in the group, and he is over here with us now. He's around here somewhere in the hotel. He'll be conducting... I'm not supposed to... Never mind. Anyway, Jim Ed Norman is here with us, and he does the string arrangements on our albums, and he's the producer. He just produced a hit for a lady named Jennifer Warren called Right Time of the Night. He was in Shiloh, and Richard Bowden was in Linda Ronstadt's band for a while, and he was in one of Roger McGuinn's recent bands, and things like that. Michael Bowden works with Jim Norman in the studio sometimes and does session work around Los Angeles.
Right.
And,
He played with Linda for a long time.
He was also in Linda's
after,
band, yeah.
After we started the Eagles, so he was Linda's bass player for at least 2 years.
Right. Then I read that you were hanging out in the Troubadour bar and you met Glenn.